Build your body, not your biceps. If you haven't been training for 1 to 2 years consistently, you're a beginner. And if you're a beginner, you don't have weak points, your entire body is weak. This is why you should ditch specialization training that focuses on building specific muscle groups and follow a well thought out, proven program that focuses on overall muscle mass. At some point in time, you've probably heard that if you want to continuously build muscle, you've got to avoid adaptation. Marketing experts who sell themselves as fitness professionals have coined the term muscle confusion. Fact is, though, the only way we can continue to grow is through the adaptations caused by new stress. Without it, our bodies would never find a reason to change. So we want to get stronger, that's a given. And the most efficient way to build strength on, say, your bench press is to bench press more often. The same goes for any other lift you want to improve. If you want to maximize muscle mass, you've got to figure out what exercises you want to use in order to drive muscle growth, then become a pro at those movements. Thus, switching things up makes no sense and will actually impair your ability to gain strength and build muscle. Another reason we want to avoid too much variation in our training is because we want to experience the neuromuscular adaptations that come from getting better at a lift. The better you get at an exercise, the more you can overload the muscle using the given lift, thus driving more muscle growth. That said, following a program that does not allow you to perfect specific movements is a surefire way to remain skinny and weak. A case for mixing it up. Don't get the wrong idea. There certainly is merit to adding variety to your training routine. However, 75% of your training focus should be placed on big, heavy compound lifts that produce the greatest amount of overall stress. The other 25%, however, will be geared towards smaller isolation exercises used to fine-tune and balance your physique. You see, each muscle group has specific functions it's responsible for, and adding resistance to these different planes of motion is critical if we want to maximize the development of even the smaller, less directly stimulated muscle groups. Not to mention, you're only as strong as your weakest link. For example, when you're performing a bench press, the primary mover is your chest, but there will always be assistance from your front deltoids and triceps. That in mind, if your triceps are the weak link, then they'd potentially limit your strength on the bench press. Thus, it would make sense to include direct triceps work in order to strengthen the chain. Compound lifts. A compound lift or multi-joint movement refers to an exercise that engages 2 or more joints, for example, a bench press, squat, or a deadlift. Because you're involving multiple joints, you can train more muscles at the same time. The main benefits of training with compound movements are twofold. 1, you're accumulating more volume for multiple muscle groups, and 2, because multiple muscle groups are involved, you'll be able to use heavier loads. As someone who is completely or relatively new to weight training, your primary goal is to perfect the main lifts quickly. And because you'll grow with much less volume per muscle than a more experienced lifter, isolation lifts become less necessary. Although I can't put an exact number on it, I'd say that a skinny guy who's just starting out will yield about 90% of their potential muscle growth by simply focusing on a few main lifts. Isolation lifts. An isolation lift refers to an exercise that engages a single joint, for example, bicep curls, tricep pushdowns, and so forth. As stated earlier, your entire body is a weak point. Thus, the main focus should be to gain overall muscle mass. However, we are all genetically predisposed to building strength and or size faster in some muscle groups than others. This can lead to strength deficiencies in a muscle that contributes to a specific lift, or quite simply, underdevelopment of a given muscle. Either way, it's best to cover all bases by including a sufficient variety of single joint lifts that focus on smaller muscle groups that may otherwise receive insufficient stress. Let's look at any heavy pulling movement we perform for our back. Anytime we're pulling, we're involving the biceps to a certain degree. However, the back, being a larger and stronger group of muscles, will always bear most of the load. And although the biceps will, in most cases, receive enough stress to produce growth, there's a great probability that we aren't maximizing our results. The bulk of your lifts. Out of the various movements our body can perform, there are 6 key movement patterns for building lots of muscle in little time. If we can manage to perform these movements while complying with the main factors of training-induced hypertrophy, for example, volume, intensity, frequency, and progression, you'll have no problem getting jacked. Horizontal pushing. Anytime you're pushing a load straight out in front of your torso while it's horizontal, your primary mover will be the chest, while the shoulders and triceps simply assist with the lift. Getting stronger at a compound lift that allows us to load this function will be the key to developing the main show muscle, the pecs. Not only that, but pushing heavy weight will always involve elbow extension, the main function of the triceps, to a great degree, making horizontal pushing fundamental for arm development. Vertical pushing. This movement involves pushing a weight vertically in relation to your torso. By performing a multi-joint lift where you're doing so, your primary mover becomes the shoulders, while the chest, triceps, and to a smaller degree, the upper traps and lats aid with the lift. When the bulk of your upper body pushing movements are comprised of heavy, multi-joint, horizontal, and vertical pushing exercises, you're ensuring that the entire chest, shoulders, and triceps are getting enough total volume to grow quickly. Horizontal pulling. Anytime you're pulling a load towards your torso horizontally from straight out in front of you, you're distributing a great deal of stress to all of the muscles in your mid-upper back with a bit of assistance from your biceps. Vertical pulling. This involves pulling a weight down from over your head vertically towards your torso. This type of movement places an emphasis on the largest muscle of the upper body, the lats. By pulling vertically, we're performing shoulder adduction, the main function of the lats, with a bit of assistance from the biceps. The goal with heavy horizontal pulling is to add upper back thickness and a bit of yoke while also stimulating growth in the biceps. With the vertical pulling, we're achieving back width. This gives us that gorilla strut that says, "This guy definitely lifts." Lower body pushing. This movement involves using your legs to drive a weight up vertically, for example a squat, and or horizontally, for example a leg press. Anytime we're pushing with our lower body, the emphasis is placed on the quadriceps, as their main function is to extend the knee. Not only will this allow us to load the quads effectively, but it'll also involve a good degree of glute and hamstring activation. Lower body pulling. If we want to ensure we're building our posterior chain, hamstrings, glutes, and lower back, we've got to perform hip-dominant lower body pulling movements. Doing so will not only help decrease the risk of injury, provide better posture, and improve performance, but believe it or not, women find men with nice butts more attractive. On top of that, having small hamstrings with well-developed quads is the equivalent of sporting big triceps with tiny biceps. If the goal is overall mass, you need both. The goal of your training program should be to put as much size on you as possible in the shortest amount of time, and quite frankly, that isn't going to happen by spending your gym time curling 20-pound dumbbells in front of a mirror. Rather, your focus should be a few key movements and getting stronger. Did you find this video helpful? Make sure to click the like button below. Are you looking for a complete, done-for-you training and nutrition guide guaranteed to add slabs of muscle to your frame in the next 90 days? Claim your free copy of my book, Bulk Up Fast. The book has already been paid for. All you have to do is cover the small shipping fee. Just click the link in the description, tell me where to ship it, and I'll send it to you anywhere in the world. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe for more videos, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next one. Peace.